Pack your bags, we're headed on a big old ride, with dreams of sunlit shores and the open skies, from the hills of Cyprus to where the world collides.
Ready for a deep dive? We're about to explore Rob and Mandy's blog, A New Life Planned in Cyprus. But before Cyprus, there was this trip to Fuerteventura, in the Canary Islands, back in 2005. We get to see it through their eyes.
And it's interesting because this trip, it kind of shows us their adventurous side, even before Cyprus was in the picture.
Yeah, you can really tell they had that travel bug even back then. So, okay, imagine. You've just landed in Fuerteventura, sun's out, you're headed to this town, Caleta de Fuste. That's where they're based for this whole adventure.
And the way they describe it, the volcanic hills, the ocean, the Atlantic, it just pulls you in.
It's like, when you first see the ocean and you realize how big it is. There's that feeling, right? Well, they capture that. And the funny thing is, they're not afraid to share those little mishaps. Like that time they accidentally ended up on a nudist beach in Morro Jabal.
Oh, yeah, that's classic. It just makes them seem so relatable, Like they don't take themselves too seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, did that experience, shape how they approached the rest of the trip? Being open to those unexpected turns. And speaking of turns, their trip takes them north. And the way they describe this drive, the scenery, the winding roads.
It's like you're right there with them in the car. They use such vivid language, you can practically feel the anticipation building. And then they stop at this town, Corralejo. It's a port town, kind of like a getaway to Lanzarote.
Which is so cool. It highlights how close these islands are, each with its own personality.
Mm-hmm.
But Rob and Mandy, they have other plans. They end up in Cutillo, and there's this tower there, the Dorico Roque Tower. Can you imagine the views from up there?
I know, right? And it's interesting, they chose to highlight that detail, the tower. It makes you think they're drawn to places with a sense of history, even if it's just a small thing.
And speaking of history, their next stop is La Guira, where they encounter something pretty amazing. A whale skeleton monument.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's not just any monument. It's like this powerful symbol of the island's connection to the sea.
Definitely. And the way they describe it, the bones, the shadows, it's like they capture both the beauty of it and, kind of the sadness, too.
That's so true. It's like they capture the feeling of time passing, Like a single image can hold so much meaning.
And that kind of reflective mood, it seems to stick with them. As they head to Betancuria National Park, known for its, dramatic landscapes.
Betancuria National Park. Just the name sounds adventurous. And they even mention how those steep roads kind of put their rental car to the test.
But it's the view at the end. That's what really grabs them, the sheer beauty of it all.
Makes you think of when you climb a mountain, that feeling when you reach the top, you're surrounded by nature.
Exactly. And just when you think, okay, they've had their fill of scenery, they find this little village, Pajara, a typical Spanish village, they call it.
And this is where you really see them adapt. They're in a place where everyone's speaking Spanish, but they just roll with it.
Shows their sense of adventure, doesn't it? That willingness to just dive into a different culture, even if it means using a phrase book.
For sure. It reminds me, sometimes the best experiences, they come when you're a little out of your comfort zone, but it's not all language barriers and cultural immersion, right? They also take time for, food. They have lunch in this coastal village, Agery. And what do they have? Fresh fish and Canarian potatoes.
It's a small detail, but it says a lot about how they travel. It's not just about seeing the sights, it's about the flavors, experiencing a place through its food.
Right. It's like those flavors, they become part of your memories.
Speaking of memories, their trip takes a bit of an unexpected turn. They decide to go off the beaten path, literally. They end up on this rough, bumpy track trying to get to Playa de Garci on the west coast of the island.
I have to admit, this part of the trip, it really got to me. They're actively seeking something different beyond the tourist spots. It makes you wonder, what are they hoping to find?
And what they find, it's, incredible. The American Star ocean liner. Shipwrecked. Beached on the shore.
A shipwreck. Can you imagine just stumbling upon that? It's like a piece of history just left there.
The way they describe it, the rusted hull, the waves crashing, it's both beautiful and kind of eerie.
It's like it makes you think, doesn't it? This huge ship, it used to be something important, and now nature's taking over.
Yeah, it's a powerful image. And they really capture that. The waves, the wind, you can almost hear it.
It reminds you that nothing lasts forever, even things that seem permanent.
That's true. But maybe there's something freeing about that, like a reminder to live in the moment, to have adventures, create memories.
And that fits so well with the title of their blog post, right? Memories of Fuerteventura. You can tell this trip, even years later, it still means something to them.
Makes you wonder, what was it about that trip? The landscape, the people, that shipwreck? Did it maybe play a part in them moving abroad?
We might never know. But their blog gives us a peek into their mindset back then. They were up for anything, open to new experiences. They appreciated those little surprises.
That's the beauty of travel, isn't it? It's not just the destination, it's the whole journey. The things you discover along the way, the things that stay with you.
Makes you want to just pick a place on a map and go, right. Find your own adventures.
Absolutely. Who knows what you might find out there?
Your life plan where we never hide.
Out on the highway, chasing the tide.